So welcome everybody. I'd like to introduce you to Ava Ananya, who has a studio in Vienna, and I met her this year. She's an experienced teacher and an experienced teacher trainer in Anusara Yoga, and she's also a mentor. So welcome, Ava.
Thank you so much, Leah. Yeah, welcome to this informal info talk for our immersion. We are teaching together, Leah, Letizzia, and myself. Yeah, Anusara immersion. What is it? It's something where you immerse into. In Anusara, we are talking about a way of yoga which has a lot to do with what we call life affirming philosophy. We are talking about a way of teaching which is very alignment based, and also we are talking about doing doing. That's what we learn in philosophy and alignment in our day-to-day actions as well, not only on the yoga mat. So Anusara Yoga and also the philosophy behind Anusara Yoga is something which should and can, if we give that space to the teaching, help us in our day-to-day actions and how we behave. So the tantric view of yoga is not that life or the body is something we need to get rid of. It is something where we say it's life affirming and it's the path of a householder. So in yoga, we are talking quite often about enlightenment. And I know those days where I was pretty new to yoga, and it was not Anusara Yoga because I haven't had that in the first way, because in Europe those days there was no Anusara Yoga, so I needed to go to the US for that. But here in my hometown, Vienna, I ran into several other styles of yoga, and they were telling me the goal for yoga is enlightenment. And I was, oh, wow, enlightenment. Do I really want that? Because they told me you get rid of all the things, you get into equanimity all the time. And I thought, do I really want that? And when I came to Anusara Yoga and they say, you can be a householder. We call that the householder path. You can stay in your everyday action. You can be a wife. You can be a marketing manager. You can do whatever you do. You don't need to be an ascet. You don't need to let go of all the material things. You just be the way you are. But enlightenment means that you get simply more and more conscious of your everyday life, your things in your everyday life, your actions in everyday life.
Yeah, it's nice how John Friend always said that we're humans and be expressing an art.
Yeah.
You could be a wife, a father, a mother. When you say householder, you mean like a housewife, right? You don't have to like go away into a cave and meditate and be.
Actually, yes. So in what we call as tantrikas, the householder path means that we don't renounce our life we had before. We just live our life. Like, there's the Bhagavad Gita, which is a very well-known text also in all the yoga philosophy. And that is the very first text or scripture we find in yoga, where Arjuna was like what we call the householder path. So he was a kshatriya, he was a warrior, and he needed to fight. But that's yoga. For him, that was fulfilling his what we call dharma. And that means that what was his duty in his life. And that wasn't being a monk, that wasn't sitting in a cave meditating all the day, like in the old days, where you and of course in the more Vedantic way of life, where you really renounce from the world. The tantric view, by the way, sorry to say, tantric yoga has nothing to do with all those neo-tantric things, so all the sexual things. Yeah, the tantric path means the path of a householder, so that you are not only housewife, so you are what you are, you do what you do. And if you are a singer, you are a singer, and you can, if you want, stay whatever you are, a singer, whatever. Trying to find words. As I said, a software developer. Okay, no worries. Yeah, that's cool. And you can have a wife or a husband, and you can have children, and you don't need to renounce from all those things, and also not from the material world. You stay in life as you used to be. The only thing is you shift your awareness, and only is in those things, you know, because that's already the big thing, to stay conscious in your everyday actions you do. So when you got it up in the morning, you get aware of how you feel, how your breath is. Do we do that? No, we get up, clean our teeth, have a shower, and run for the train to go to work. So getting more conscious means that we first check, where am I? Do I breathe? How do I breathe? How do I feel? So I get more and more in contact with myself. And that's the path of the tantrika. We get more and more aware of what we are doing and how we are doing, how we talk, what we say. Because we say so many things whole day, but are we really aware of what we say? Are we really conscious about it? Maybe not. And so what Leah today asked me to talk about is the shakti. So in the tantric philosophy, that absolute consciousness is Shiva. And that's not the male goddess we are usually talking about when we are talking about Shiva in a yoga context. That's consciousness, simply, absolutely the essence nature of everyone. So it's pure consciousness. And Shakti is that power that starts creating everything. So the power of consciousness is resting. Where? Within every one of us. So the power to be conscious, we call Chit Shakti.
Say that
we
again.
have
Chit
Shakti. Shakti always means power. Yeah, the power of doing something, of being able to do something. Yeah. We have the power of bliss, which we call Ananda Shakti. That there is the capacity to experience bliss. We need Shakti for that. And those three you are also mentioning, Leah, is Iccha Shakti, which is the power of will. So first, when there is only one thing, imagine there is only one. What can this one do? Nothing. It cannot even see itself, because then there needs to be at least a mirror. Something needs to be there that you can experience yourself. Because if there's only one, there is nothing. Because you don't see yourself. There is nothing. because two is already me in the room. But how to experience when there is no room, when there is no time, when there is nothing. And so all this creation starts in that moment where that, let's say, one created the will for something to experience. So the very first, when you get up in the morning and you create the will, I want to have a coffee. That is Iccha Shakti. When you know how to make yourself a coffee, that's Jnana Shakti. And when you know how to drink it, then that's Kriya Shakti. That's the power of action, that you really do it. So that's very simplified, but at the end you can say, in everything you do, there is Iccha Jana Kriya. There are those powers. There is Shakti, and Shakti is not a woman. Yeah. Even when we have in the Hinduistic mythology a lot of Shaktis like Lakshmi, Saraswati, Kali, maybe you heard of her too, or Bhuvaneshwari, Para. So there are many, many, many goddesses. But that's not what we mean when we are talking about Shakti in that context. So Iccha Jana Kriya Shakti means the power of, first, that there is a desire, that there is a will. Simple version, I want to have a coffee. And then you need to have the knowledge to do it, to cook coffee, to make yourself a coffee, to make a nice cappuccino. You need to have knowledge. And of course, some ingredients. And Kriya Shakti means that you really do it, that you come into action. And those three also go together with what we call the 3 A's in Anusara Yoga. Maybe you already heard Leah talking about attitude, alignment, and action. Those are the 3 A's we are talking about in Anusara Yoga. And they go together with Iccha Jana Kriya. By the way, it's Jnana. There is, I just see in the chat window, it's N before the first A. N actually with a tilde. Can you create that? Or maybe I can. Let's see. Always when you need it, you don't find it.
Yes, these long things over the letters, and also
no, not the long ones.
Oh yeah.
So, but I don't want to be too nerdy. It's more the tilde means, like in Spanish when you have mañana.
Yeah.
So it's ñana.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I see.
Yeah. Well, and that's what you meant is just the line. That's the long. So that's also why sometimes in Germany you always have hear people saying asanas, and that's just because the Germans pronounce always the second part. Yeah, but in yoga actually, or in Sanskrit actually, it's asana, because the first A has that line. But that's super nerdy, and we don't get into that in the immersion. But you see, Leah and I, we are the geeks for that. We are super nerdy with that. But that only comes in the advanced teacher training. So don't mind, that's too much into the details. But yeah, that you have it written correct here. Yeah, Jnana. So yeah, that was a very super short introduction in what we call the shaktis, the 5 shaktis. And as yesterday was the World Woman Day, it is also nice to talk about that energy, what we also call the female energies. And of course, we also say all these goddesses are shaktis. Why? Because the goddesses are those who really act they create, and that's a very female power. That creating and also giving birth is a way of creating, even when we need a little bit of shiver for that. So, Leah, do you want to share a few organizational things?
Yeah, I would like to, for the recording, let people know that that every day there will be philosophy like this, and we will put that into the asana practice. For the 5-day, there's 3 5-day retreats, and it's nice to sort of feel a little bit what the nature of the tantric philosophy is, especially Ava, because you mentioned also don't mention the word tantra, because the moment I do, people are thinking that we're gonna all get naked. We're gonna make our souls naked, but not our bodies necessarily. And so I think it's important to feel a little bit like the nature of how we're going to address asana practice from this point of view: desire, knowledge, action. If you guys wanting to know more about this immersion, you can send me a message and I'd be happy to give you the information about that.